What up, everyone? DJ Nubis.
And DJ Neko.
The Cenobite, DJ Neko. Here with the Mailtime Radio Podcast, do another trailer reaction. She's not into this.
I'm not happy with my bangs today, people, so just don't look at them.
Let me just cut them.
I already
can have my look.
No, there's a reason the bangs are here. It's to hide the gigantic forehead, which
is fine. You're good. You're good to go. Anywho, we're here to do a trailer reaction for the upcoming Hellraiser 2022. I think it's going to be on Hulu October 4th.
Okay. So wait a minute. The box. Hellraiser.
What's in the box?
So we talked about this before, and I think you showed me Hellraiser 2 because I said I never saw Hellraiser 2, but I did see Hellraiser 1 like a bunch of times years and years and years ago.
Right.
So this is a new imagining, a reboot. What are they calling it?
Basically a reboot, but not a remake. So this is a whole new story. It stars Odessa Azion as a character she's the actress who's portraying a character who's a drug user that comes across the box.
Okay, so it's not like we're remaking the original story.
Correct.
It's still the same concept, but it's like a new chapter.
Yeah, the way they describe it,
it's not a sequel because it doesn't have anything to do.
Different universe.
Okay,
so
but it doesn't have anything to do with the others.
No,
this is just the box is affecting someone else.
Right.
All right.
Pinhead, though, will be played by Jamie Clayton, actress, who will be, again, part of this different universe. So it's no longer Doug Bradley or a male; it's just female.
So I haven't seen this, so I don't know what she's going to look like. But I almost, again, I will give my opinion on what I think she looks like if they show it in the trailer. But I almost picture something like the Borg Queen.
Yeah, maybe. The thing about when they do stuff like this with, switching the genders or whatever, is that I don't know why they just don't come up with a new character. Like Pinhead, I mean, obviously apparently from the stories that Clyde Barker wrote, he's involved with this as well, or at least endorses it. Pinhead is a non-sex being. But obviously, through fandom and our time as fans of the horror genre as well as Hellraiser, is that we're used to Doug Bradley being the guy. Now, granted, the last few sequels are not Doug anymore. He hasn't done it in quite a while for being the character. But I've said it before that whenever we see horror films with legendary films, in this case, Hellraiser, the first few that Doug was in, he kind of owns that character.
No, I understand that, but
just like Robert Englund owns Freddy.
But see, Freddy was a person who had a backstory.
Right.
Pinhead really doesn't have this whole, because it's...
Well, apparently there is some story behind it. I just don't know what it is. I've never read the actual...
And maybe that's why I just don't care as much, because to me,
I don't care. It's just, but again,
I just don't think it's going to affect the stories.
It won't.
Because if you made Freddy Krueger female, the whole molesting little children with his scary knife hand is not this. It doesn't have the same effect because Freddy Krueger was a person.
But what if it's just a different universe, like this one is?
But then they should kind of come up with because Freddy Krueger is a person, and it would be something completely different. It
Frederica Krueger.
Well, it could be James or Janice Smith or something, but it could be something like A Nightmare on Elm Street presents something.
Right.
But I feel like with Pinhead, because they've, created Pinhead to be asexual, that you can slip different people into it a little bit easier than you could say with Freddy Krueger. Look what happened when they remade Nightmare on Elm Street. It just wasn't the same. But because the character itself was made to be not any sex, not any gender, it's just a being, that makes it a little bit easier to kind of, change it up a little bit.
Yes and no. Going by this, the story of it all, yes. But again,
I know what you're saying.
film wise, it's harder because we've already become accustomed to a particular actor. It's like,
oh, I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, story wise, it doesn't matter
no,
who's
as
gonna.
far as like the actual written story, it doesn't matter.
I mean, and it happens.
And that's why they're kind of doing it this way.
And it happens all the time, like, with live stage plays, people can't, like, Michael Crawford, if he's, I don't even know if he's still alive. He was like the OG Phantom from Phantom of the Opera. And luckily I got to see him when he was, but this is back in 1994. He's not out there. I mean, I don't even think he's still alive. You do in stage productions see people take on different roles, but that also gets you to the point where you start comparing people when they're doing the different roles. Like, oh, this guy is not as good as Michael Crawford. He did the whole swinging from the chandelier
and I'm
scary
sure
stuff.
I'm sure there's going to be this too. You can't do a reboot or remake of any kind without there's some comparisons of what happened before that. That's just how it is.
Oh, and we were noticing that too with what did we just watch? You and I, we were just talking about it, where it was a reimagining, not so much a reboot, but you said the same thing, like
Suspiria was one of them.
Where
Evil Dead was one of them.
It's not saying that the movie itself or the acting itself was bad. You're just like comparing naturally because you already saw another person in the role. So you're like, okay, well, I really liked what they did versus, I told you I did it with the Sweeney Todd. You're like, man, I really liked what's her face as it. And I'm like, the problem. I was like, the problem is, I liked her too, but I've seen it before performed, and somebody else, Jessica Tandy was what's her face, the woman in Sweeney Todd. Why am I off today? I even got to leave work early. Shit's going good today. But he was telling me like, oh, he really liked how Helena Bonham Carter did X, Y, and Z, and I was like, I just didn't think that she came off as like clever as Jessica Tandy, like fucking Murder, She Wrote, like, and it happens all the time with like crazy little details where you're like, I just happen to like this a little bit better than that.
Right. And that's going to happen. And there's going to be other people that are like, oh, I like this better. I mean, we saw what happened with Prey. You know, there were people out there saying it was better than the original Predator and Predator 2. So,
and I think
it's all subjective to what you're expecting or wanting out of something. And for some of us who grew up with a lot of these things, it's harder to compete in that arena.
That's what I was just getting ready to say, because we kind of saw the original as the original was evolving into what it has now become. With your example of Predator, we saw the Predator, and you know he's this experienced hunter and blah blah blah, but then when you see Prey, they're trying to like strip him down a little bit. He's got like the bone mask instead. And I'm not saying like either way is the right way, but because we were used to something completely different, it was a little, I don't know, we were not hating it, but not loving it, if that's the best way to put it.
Well, there's also there's a lot of charisma and, you know, slapstick machoism in the first one, and even in the second one a little bit, but like,
yeah, you're right, because of the girl,
right? They try to take Prey just a tad bit too serious, and I mean, and at some levels it is because of the alien species that's hunting you, but the approach is a lot different, and so some people like that aspect, and whereas I'm more like, oh, I just love the shoot 'em ups and the fun. And like, it's just the first Predator is very fast paced, and Prey is a little bit more of a think tank, and it kind of
a little bit of a slow burn. Yeah. I mean, you know where my heart is with Predator 2. Like sometimes I think it's better than Predator 1. Like for me, there's so many like funny one-liners and shit that
got Gary Busey in there.
Oh my god,
it's a joy.
So hopefully, after we check out this version of Hellraiser, honestly, as long as it doesn't look like shit, you know, if they make Pinhead not look like Pinhead, then I'm gonna have a problem with it. So
Well,
I haven't. Okay, so I
from the
haven't seen
stills
stills.
I've seen it. She looks
okay.
like,
So I haven't seen any stills or anything. I'm coming in completely fresh. The only thing I've seen is people were sharing. It looks kind of like a movie poster, and it's just like the red that says Hellraiser. All right, let's do it.
Here we go,
Okay.
Hellraiser.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It's really nice.
You can hold it.
What is it?
It's a puzzle.
And it's almost finished. Keep going. So if I solve it, do I get a prize?
Oh yeah,
I do.
It has 6 sides, 6 configurations. It opens up and it cuts you. And then they come to collect.
It's time. Greater delights await. We wish to see you proceed. Feed it. Their blood, their pain. All for us. What is it you pray for?
I don't hate it.
no,
I wanna watch
it's
it.
a little bit hard because it's kind of dark in there. I did hear rumors that Chatterer is back, so from the originals, Chatter is in there, so that's cool. Looks interesting. They're definitely playing off the same themes from the other films.
They got the
Yeah, that's cool.
you know.
It's funny because Samurai was talking the other night when he was doing one of his Q&A sessions, talking with fans, that he kind of has a soft spot for the second Hellraiser over the first one. I'm kind of with him in some ways with that, because I too like that Cenobite war that goes on between the Doctor and the Cenobites. And so the whole chain thing is always a cool thing. So I'm glad you're sticking around with that, and it looks good.
They have Pinhead looking like Pinhead.
Right.
That's all I wanted. Like I get that it's a female actress, so I just want the character.
Sometimes
to
women can be far more colder than men.
That's you know that. I mean, like I just feel that they have, again, this is just from the trailer, the look and feel of the movie is staying true to the Hellraiser, phenomena or life or whatever. It's got the Hellraiser feeling to it.
Right.
It's not like they're trying to turn Hellraiser into, I don't know, like a romantic comedy or something ridiculous. They're really taking it seriously. Now, that sometimes can bite you in the ass if you're trying to go like shot for shot or be like super serious about something, and you do, and it flops. You're like, it was too much. You're trying to be what the original was, but you were so far off. Or they'll say it's amazing. And there's some examples like The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a remake. The Fog is a remake. Like, these are older movies that were remade, and they're good, even in their remake like status.
Well, The Fog was original Carpenter, but there was a remake.
No, but the remake of The Fog, I think I saw before The Fog.
Oh, that one's bad.
It's not that bad. It's still kind of scary if you think about it, because there's a bunch of fucking.
I didn't know this. It's a divorce. No, just kidding.
If you really want to get on the divorce subject, but it's a scary concept. That's why when I did see the original, I was like, it's way better. But I still liked The Fog, the remake, and like the whole idea of the fog. Like it was,
The principle.
yeah, the principle, the story itself was scary. Then when I saw the original, because I thought we've had this discussion. That's how I ended up
Not
seeing.
about the fog. We haven't really discussed that one. The
No,
thing,
I mean, like you and I just personally. That's how I ended up seeing the fog by Carpenter. Is you're like, well, this is a because it was on a streaming thing. This is a while ago.
well, the remake came out like around 2005 or 6, I think.
So I saw that, and you're like, this is a remake, and I'm gonna go. It's still kind of fucking creepy. So you're like, well, let's put, because that's the one with the radio station at the top of the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, like, if nobody has ever seen Pinhead and this is your first experience, let's hope that it
No
gives
one
you
is
that
the wiser.
well, yeah, let's hope it gives you that same feeling and that same creepy feeling, and then maybe you'll go back and look at the original Hellraiser and say, I appreciate all of this.
Time to play.
Time to play.
Well, thank you all for checking out this
Ooh,
trailer reaction, and we appreciate the support of Metal Tavern Radio.
I love you.
And we'll see you next time.